Away among the medical ephemera is one easily overlooked item.
It is made of wood. It is hollow in the center. There are two ends to the object. One is a little bit larger than the other side. It is very, very light and is over a century old.
According to curator Nancy McDonald, this strange apparatus is the ancestor of a ubiquitous tool seen in doctors' offices around the world.
This artifact is one of the most important medical devices in history.
What is this odd-looking object, and what modern instrument did it inspire? 1816, Paris, France. 35-year-old René Laennec is a physician who specializes in diseases of the lung.
Laennec was a renowned lecturer, and he was definitely very well respected by his peers.
One day, a young woman pays a visit to his office, complaining of chest pains.
Seems strange to us now, but at the time, there was no exploration of the abdomen or of the chest. And so the diagnosis of disease was really based on what the patient said their issues were.
At first, Laennec is baffled. But then he has an idea. If he could listen to his patient's heart and lungs, he might be able to glean more information to help him make a diagnosis. Yet there's a problem. Social etiquette prevents him.
He was a gentleman, and she was a young lady, and he didn't feel comfortable putting his ear against her chest. So he's kind of lost, and he doesn't really know what to do next.
But then Laennec recalls a sight that struck him months earlier.
In September of that year, he saw some children playing with a long hollow log, and on one end they were tapping a pen on the log, and on the other end they were listening to it.
The memory gives him an idea. Solid materials can conduct and amplify sound.
And so he grabbed a notebook and he rolled it up and he put it against her chest.
As he puts his ear to the device, the sound of the woman's heart and lungs becomes clear.
And he realized that not only could he hear now, he could also hear better.
The technique enables him to diagnose the patient with a chest infection. Laennec is inspired by his improvised solution and resolves to refine his idea.
He experimented for the next 3 years with a variety of different materials. He eventually settled on wood, and he felt like that was the best conductor.
Laennec constructs a hollow tube with an earpiece that attaches to one end. Like his rolled-up notebook, it transmits sound from patient to eardrum. He gives his device a fitting name.
He named it the stethoscope, stetho for chest, and then scope for to explore. So this was sort of an auditory exploration of the chest.
In 1819, he publishes his findings. But before he can promote the use of his revolutionary device, tragedy strikes.
Laennec started to become ill. He realized that he had tuberculosis.
The doctor is dying. So how will Laennec's stethoscope make it to the masses? Though Laennec soldiers on, his worsening health leaves him with little time to advocate for his invention. But in 1821, a British surgeon named John Forbes reads a copy of Laennec's research. Forbes is astonished by its findings and arranges for the paper to be republished.
At this point, the stethoscope, because of John Forbes' work, began to take off, and different versions of the stethoscope started to be made.
Enterprising doctors soon begin crafting their own stethoscopes, just like this rare 1821 prototype on display at the International Museum of Surgical Science. Sadly, just as his invention begins to gain acceptance, Laennec succumbs to tuberculosis. Yet his device lives on.
What we now think of as basically the symbol of a doctor is a doctor with a stethoscope around his neck.
Today, the stethoscope is heralded as one of the most significant medical discoveries in history. And this early model at the International Museum of Surgical Science in Chicago harkens back to a remarkable leap forward in understanding the human body.